everyone, and welcome to Your Broker Admin, where we share relevant updates, experiences, and ideas that help you deal with those everyday challenges. Whether you're in a support role or a solo broker newish to the industry, we're here to make your life that little bit easier. In this week's episode, I'm super excited to say that we have Michael Richardson, CEO and co-founder of Cynario, in the YBA Chat Room with me. I've been working on getting this one organised for a couple of months now, as much for myself as you, the podcast listeners. Following on from the interview with Michael, we'll have a quick update from VMG and then into the reviews wrap up. I'm your host, Rob Cummings. Thanks for joining me, and let's get straight into the chat with Michael. Hello, everyone, and welcome to our regular guest chat on Your Broker Admin. Here in the YBA Chat Room with me today is Michael Richardson, CEO and co-founder of Cynario. Just some quick background on Michael before we start for the benefit of our listeners. In 2009, he started up an event management company called Brand Booth. And then in 2021, he became a mortgage broker with the MoneyQuest Group. And then finally, in late 2023, Michael began developing Cynario before launching it in May this year. So, Michael, welcome to Your Broker Admin, and thanks for joining me.
Thanks, Rob. I know we've been trying to get this going for a couple of months now, so it's good to be on with you.
Yeah, well, that is true, but I guess it wasn't long after your launch, so you're kind of probably a little bit busy.
We had a few things going on, so.
Now, I hear that you're big into fitness, which is great. Yeah. So good to see you looking after yourself, but I believe that's not always been the case. Does New Zealand 2010 ring a bell at all?
Unfortunately, it does. So it was definitely a solid lesson in, I guess, in fitness and my abilities, I think, more than anything else. 2010. So I guess I seem to come up with crazy ideas. Cynario has been one of them, but like 2010, I came up with another crazy idea to start a fitness expo in New Zealand. So we were the night before launch, or we'd organised a professional gymnast, Cirque du Soleil performer to come in to do a routine. And me being all excited the night before the show, me being a 6'2", 100 kilo guy with no gym experience or no gymnastics experience, decided that I thought that I could do what he could do. And it ended up with me completely snapping my bicep tendon off my forearm, passing out and ending up in emergency the night before the show opened. But curiosity definitely got the better of me at that time.
Yeah, I can't believe you passed out. It just hurt your bicep and you passed out.
I think it was more shock than anything else. It went off like a gunshot. Sort of when I was doing something silly on some rings and I hadn't warmed up and was just way in my 20s, way overconfident. And as soon as I landed, it just completely popped. And then a friend of mine was waking me up on the floor. So it was good. Yeah, it wasn't the ideal start to that event, but lesson learned.
Yeah, not really. So let's hope you don't get any sort of stuff when you're presenting Cynario. So
I think I'm a little bit safer with Cynario. So
unbelievable. So all right. So let's move on to the reason I've got you in here today, and that's to talk about Cynario. I must admit, I'm pretty keen to learn about Cynario myself. So, the obvious question, Michael, what is Cynario, and how did it come to be?
All right. Well, I'll start with how did it come to be probably first. So, as you mentioned, I came into the broking space in 2021 off the back of COVID and needing to do a dreaded pivot with my business. Came in 2021, plenty of business experience, no industry experience. And sort of one of my challenges at the beginning was trying to understand all the lender policies, obviously trying to get across them all. Then of course, all the lenders changing them and sort of then continuing to play that, that back and forward sort of game.
Yeah.
And at that time, fast forward about a year or so before I started developing this, sort of OpenAI ChatGPT came out. Apparently AI was going to take over the world and solve all of our problems. And I had a very naive thought that, well, we've got all of this policy data and we've got AI. Surely I should just be able to create myself my own little chat assistant to help me write a few loans. And I would say the word naive is a very strong one there because, what are we now? About 2.5 years later before actually launching it. So effectively what Cynario is the industry's first AI enterprise level platform for mortgage brokers, and now actually extending even to the mortgage industry because we're working with lenders now as well as brokers. Okay. Started off focused towards policy research, so residential policy research, and now we've built out into helping with marketing, and we're looking at some other projects. So the idea behind Cynario is leveraging AI to assist brokers sort of with their choke points within their workflows. So specifically policy research, marketing, and then we can talk through a few other ideas that we're sort of developing out at the moment as well.
Yeah, okay. So you spoke obviously about what the motivation was about creating Cynario. Did you have much understanding of AI before you sort of decided to create Cynario?
Absolutely none. And I think similar to what happened with the fitness exo and that sort of curiosity, curiosity tends to drive me in the whole what if question. But then I keep on sort of doubling down on myself. So I'm not techie in any way. It was more a case of me going, well, in my head, it was a very, very simple concept. AI can read words and faster than I can, and it should be able to determine some guidance. But definitely wasn't the case. So we're probably 8 to 10 months behind where we wanted to be from a launch perspective. Predominantly because when I first came up with the idea, I decided to heavily invest in some offshore developers, which for anyone listening who's thinking about doing that, I would strongly recommend you don't. They significantly overpromised and underdelivered, which took a lot of time out before sort of I brought it back and started working with our now CTO based here with me in Melbourne. And then we effectively had to rebuild the entire platform from scratch. So it's been a fascinating journey through the world of AI, and it's changing so fast. And I think, in fairness to the developers, the offshore, what I probably expected and wanted out of the platform back then, realistically, probably wasn't achievable. And we spoke about this off air. It's what we're developing now. 8 weeks ago, we couldn't do. So the industry and technology is moving so quickly. Yeah,
and you mentioned about the fact, obviously, it's around lender policy and stuff like that. So how does Cynario actually go about sourcing the policy information from the lenders?
That's a good question. So we work directly with the lenders. So I guess from our side, it's important to say that we are completely aggregator agnostic. We don't work with any specific aggregators. We do have the ability to connect an API in with aggregator platforms, but we work directly with the lenders themselves, and that's a lot of it is from a sort of safety reason because it is their data. So getting it directly from the source is very, very important. But the other key part is we also receive all of their updates in real time, which is probably one of the biggest benefits and strengths of the platform is that the policy data is updated instantly once we receive an update.
Okay.
So, and it's also, I suppose, from an update perspective, in a lot of cases, we're finding now that our data sets are more up to date than quite a few of the broker portals. Because if a lender provides us with an update today to say that they're changing a policy on let's say the 10th of October, we ingest that policy today and it's timestamped. So if a broker asks about it, it will sort of register the date range. Whereas most lenders won't actually update their broker portal until the actual policy update comes into effect. They'll send out their email.
Yeah.
But the majority of EDMs are only read by anywhere between 6 to 13% of brokers. So the majority of the industry actually still doesn't know what's happening. So that's our big push on policy.
Yeah. Okay. Quite feasible that your Cynario is probably more up to date than the predecessors in terms of policy.
I'd like to think so. I think it's the advantage that we've got in sort of talking directly to the lenders is around things like exception data, and this is something that I know a lot of brokers struggle with, and something that we're actively pushing lenders to sort of reveal a few more cards. I would say within their policy data on the broker portals is very linear and very strict. And now we're talking, and there are lenders out there that are becoming more open to providing us with exception data, because realizing that the more information they can provide within the platform to a broker researching suitable policy for a client, the more likelihood that the deal will go to them. So that's something, and because we've got those relationships with the lenders, they're now seriously looking at that, which is exciting.
Yeah. Okay. Fantastic. And so, how many lenders do you actually have access to?
So we've got 35 lenders on the platform at the moment.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I've got probably another 5 or 6 that are sandbox. So the way that we work with lenders is when a new lender is interested in coming on board, we sandbox an environment of the site for them, upload their policy, and then we give it back to them for their BDM teams or credit teams, risk teams to actually stress test their own data. And it's important for us to do that because this is really the first time that AI has been overlaid over the majority of the lender data. And it gives their teams the ability to find new weaknesses or anything that they could sort of improve before it comes into the system. Like we had, I think the first week, a broker subscribed to the platform and he asked which lenders will allow me to write my own home loan. And it was surprising that out of all the lenders on the platform, there was only one lender that actually had it written into their policy that they do it, whilst there's many other lenders that do. So it's those sorts of things that if we can give it back to the lenders to begin with, we can present a much stronger data set to brokers within the platform.
Yeah. Okay. So basically you're saying you effectively Cynario in working with the lenders, you're actually improving potentially some of their own internal policies.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah. It's been fascinating. Which is why when I was saying before about working with lenders is now we've actually got lenders working with us towards their own internal solutions, using their own policy data to help their BDM teams. And we're building out sort of chat interface solutions for broker portals and things, because the lenders can sort of see the value in how their data is being used and how it's being managed. And also from a security perspective, how it's being stored, which is also something that's very, very important in the world of AI.
Yeah. So speaking of which, around security, so what sort of cybersecurity layers or protocols does Cynario have in place?
Yeah. Well, it's, I guess firstly from a subscription level. So we're the only platform where when a broker subscribes to the platform, they have to be a registered mortgage broker to access Cynario, and that was really important from a lender perspective to ensure that not anyone off the street can access their policy data, check their CRN or ACL upon registering within the site. So if a broker does enter any like PII or personally identifiable information into the system, it is not cached anywhere. It remains purely within the chat. And that's something important to think about, especially for brokers that are, say, using a chat GPT or sort of an open source model, is that is just thinking about where that data potentially could be going.
Yeah.
And then from a lender perspective, we've got encrypted data servers that hold all of their data as well, which is important to them. We don't want anyone being able to obviously manipulate data, which is why we also get it directly from them and not through a third party, is to ensure that it is the latest up-to-date information.
Yeah. Okay. You mentioned about that you've got to be an accredited broker to subscribe to Cynario.
Mm-hmm.
What about, and I think our own business, and I know there's plenty of other businesses who are providing credit analysis type functions.
Yeah.
How does that work, or can they get access to Cynario?
They can. It requires a conversation more with me or the team.
Okay.
Opposed to just being able to subscribe straight off the platform. And as long as we get an understanding of the business, how it runs, and also sort of proof that the outsourcing companies are actually doing what they say. Like we do get inquiries from individuals, but we effectively need the proof that they are like recognized within the industry as an outsourcing body, and then we'll work with them for it.
Yeah. Okay. And with those outsourced providers and even the brokers, given we're talking very much about cybersecurity and data protection, are there any checks that you do on your subscribers about what their cybersecurity protocols are?
For the platform, it's not necessarily relevant because we're not dealing with any sort of sensitive data. And I think probably the biggest difference is that if we started sort of looking at going into sensitive data, then there definitely would be more of a security tick on that. But for us, because it is general sort of policy guidance, and what we're effectively doing is bringing all of the policy data from all the lenders into one place versus having to just go into portals where it's already readily available. I think probably the biggest thing on the platform, and this is where the lenders have been a little bit more excited on, is whilst a broker has to be accredited to be on the platform, they don't necessarily have to be accredited with the particular lenders to see their policy data. So if a broker is not accredited with CBA and they search for a policy question, they will still see the policy data of CBA in the system. And it's almost a precursor then to for them to get accredited with a lender that they might not know about or might not have worked with before, if that lender can provide a solution to help them write a deal.
Yeah, well, obviously, yeah, absolutely. Okay. And can you just give me sort of like a typical scenario of how a broker would potentially use Cynario to help them?
Yeah, so many scenarios in that. So we're using a generative AI chat interface within the site, and so we've got the persona of Charlie, that's a residential policy specialist. So how you would use the site is effectively, let's say you've got a client, really easy one. You've got a client that's a doctor. They want to refinance and they need an LMI waiver or want to look at that. You can effectively come into the platform and go, hey, Charlie, which lenders offer an LMI waiver for doctors over 90%, hypothetically. Hit enter. And then what Charlie does is Charlie will then go off and research all the relevant lenders and then pull back all the content from all the lenders that are relevant to that question and sort of give you a summary. So a broker can sort of narrow down the search. And that was my initial idea sort of with Cynario is we've got, as a broker, 30, 40, however many lenders that brokers work across. It's a lot of information to stay across. Whereas if you can use a new Cynario to hone in and really reduce that from 40 to 3, it's that time saving that then allows, or I guess builds on those efficiencies for brokers to spend more time either acquiring new clients, providing better service, providing a faster response back to that client as well. That's where the power within the platform is.
If you're enjoying the podcast, then feel free to jump onto podchaser.com, search Your Broker Admin, where you can leave a review, rate the podcast, or just simply follow us so you don't miss an episode. And how does it cope with really complex stuff? If you've got, say, 5 different variables in a scenario, can Cynario sort of take all that and still be effective in terms of gathering policy data?
It can. I guess it depends on the variables. Like you can certainly ask a sort of a multifaceted question within the platform. One of our big challenges is around the platform is only ever going to be as good as the data that we're provided from lenders, and that's one of our big pushes to them. So whilst you can ask a multifaceted question within the chat, the other thing you can do is also, because it is very much like having a conversation like we're having, is you can sort of hone down. So you could start off broad and say, which lenders offer do SMSF, and you'll get a list. Great. Now tell out of those lenders which ones can do this, and so you can build out a conversation within the platform, which are
so do it as a tiered sort of.
But versus because if I came to you and asked you a question with 10 questions in it, you're likely either going to miss some of the context of it. So it's better to we always say talk to Charlie as if you were talking to a BDM or talking to another broker about a scenario.
Okay, and because it is AI, I'm assuming as time goes on, it's going to be. It comes down to experience. It's going to know more and more and sort of understand more about it and get better at what it does.
It's an interesting one. So we and I guess that there's a big buzzword around machine learning and everyone's saying that our AI learns off everything. Funnily enough, for us, it's more around it learns off the nuances of, let's say, the terms and terminology and things that lenders do. We don't allow Charlie to learn off the specific policy data. And the reason for that's really important is because we're updating the data in real time, if we allow Charlie to learn off the data, say now, and then in 5 minutes time we update the data, we don't want sort of any trail and to risk either hallucinating or providing incorrect data. So for us, it's more around sort of training Charlie around the nuances in the mortgage industry versus actually training it on the policy data itself, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, it does. Obviously, that was, I guess, my very limited understanding of AI. That was probably a misconception. I just think, well, it's just going to get smarter and smarter and learn and sort of, you've got your experienced brokers, you put a scenario, they look at it and go, I know where that's going to go. It's going to sit with such and such lender. So,
I think where it will go, because at the moment it's very much like generative AI, sort of chat interface sort of built in, and interestingly enough, for now, brokers could actually email Charlie for policy advice, or policy guidance, which we talked about. When you start getting up into the agentic sort of AI, which we're certainly not there yet for sort of what we're doing, that's when there's a lot more sort of reasoning behind the models, which, funnily enough, we've started playing with a few reasoning models, and the results were not good for what we needed it for.
Yeah.
Well, we don't.
And if you come across, say, any other misconceptions, say, like from your users, like myself or a broker, about what Cynario would actually be able to do for them?
I don't necessarily think it's misconceptions. I think there's a really big education piece, and it's sort of incumbent on us as a platform, and we're trying to do this and get better at doing it. Is around education on AI, what its limitations are, because I think there is a misconception that AI can just do everything. But also we're finding a big one is in terms of how brokers engage with AI, because I guess the quality of the response that you get with AI is really determined by the quality of the question you ask. And there's a really big, I'd say education piece from us to sort of explain to brokers, and which is why we've actually got the personas around sort of Charlie for policy and Alex for marketing, is to sort of encourage brokers to chat to them like they're actually talking to a real person. Because the better the question you put in, the better the response you're going to get, just like out of a conversation.
Yeah, sure.
So I think that's not so much a misconception, because AI it is incredible in terms of what it can do, but it's understanding what to ask to actually, because the information's there. So how do I ask the question in a way to get the data that we want? And we're sort of working hard in our back end as well to sort of help brokers that may not be, or first time users of AI, to sort of help broaden out their questions within our back end to provide the better responses.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Well, that actually makes perfect sense. So it's kind of like ask a stupid question, get a stupid answer. So typing it down. So,
exactly. It is absolutely that principle though. If you ask a short question, you'll get a short response. Or if you ask a broad question, as opposed, it's the difference. A difference could quite literally be between saying, do lenders do this, or which lenders do this? Do lenders is a very broad question, and you'll probably get a broad response saying, well, yes, they do. If you say which lenders do it, then you're going to get, lender X, ABC.
Okay.
But it's having that understanding in the back of your mind when you're sort of chatting to realize that those sort of nuances can make a huge difference to the response you get.
Yeah, that's right. And as you rightly pointed out, it is very much about, I suppose, educating and the brokers learning that very thing, because it's like any system, really. The more proficient or the more you use it, the better you understand it, so the better it becomes. So,
exactly. And that was probably a weakness, I think, from us in the beginning was because I'm around and the team, we're around AI all day, every day. Is actually thinking that brokers would have that understanding off the bat, and from our part now, within a trial period on the site, is that brokers will receive emails sort of with prompting suggestions and sort of this is what you can do with it, this is how you can engage with Charles. So it's sort of trying to educate the whole way through the period, so that the brokers become more confident in actually using the system.
Yeah, okay, that's great. And outside of what we've been talking about today, anything else that sort of on the drawing board for Cynario that's likely to come out?
Lots. It turns out launching a tech company, sleep's very much overrated. So a few things. Well, an exciting development. It's live now, but it's something that it was an absolute industry first, and no one else is doing it. Is the ability now to email our AI directly from your inbox and receive policy responses back within 60 seconds. And that was it. That was a huge development for us, because one thing we're finding, I'm attending a lot of the broker summits and industry events, is that there's definitely app fatigue is certainly a big thing in the industry now. I've obviously come along with Cynario, and then you've got your CRM platforms and the serviceability and everything else. So we're actually now looking at how can we take the technology of AI, because I think there is a slight misconception actually around AI being just a chatbot, but how do we take the technology of AI and bring it into the workflows that brokers are already using? And that was a big one for us. So instead of now logging onto the platform that took us 2.5 years to develop, brokers can now quite literally email Charlie as if I was emailing you and go, hey, which lenders will do X, Y, Z? And they'll receive a response within 60 seconds. So that's something quite cool. The biggest one we've got coming out very shortly is a huge upgrade to Alex, who's our AI marketing assistant. So when we launched Alex, the idea was, well, we've got all the lender policy data. How else can we leverage that and use that to help brokers with their workflows? And marketing and email communications is the big one. So up until now, you can use Alex to write you an Instagram post, but the text content only, or write me an email comparing two different lender policies. Shortly, which is what we'll bring in, is now the ability for a broker to link their Instagram account, their Facebook account, their LinkedIn account, also their Microsoft Outlook, and even now, if they have a WordPress website, they can link them all through Cynario. And then when you ask Alex to create you an Instagram post, it will not only create the content, which a broker can then edit, it'll also create an AI-generated image. And with a push of the button, they can post directly to their social media platforms directly from Cynario. That can then also push to a post to their WordPress website. So if they're running a blog, it can push to their Facebook and their LinkedIn as well, with slightly different content that's designed for the different audiences that are across those platforms as well. So that is a very, very big thing that's coming in. Alongside with that is then the ability then for Alex to write emails. And then if a broker's linked in their Outlook account, Alex will save it directly to their drafts folder straight from Cynario.
Okay. Wow. Okay.
So creating those efficiencies.
Okay. So does that also come with their own personal avatar as well to send?
Funny you should mention it. So within the actual platform, they can, or they will, I would say can, but very shortly, they can add in two of their primary branding colors. They can add in their logo. They could also add in their profile picture as well. And then ask Alex to create a social media post with them in it, and it'll generate it with using those details as well. So yeah, this is quite something quite exciting. Actually, you're the first person I've actually spoken to about this. So this is an industry first pre-launch.
Well, there you go. They're coup for YBA. So
yeah, exactly. So that's one, and then yes, look, we've also got asset finance brokers hassling me a lot on LinkedIn. So yes, we are developing out for asset finance. Commercial is also something we're looking at. Obviously, you'd know commercial is grayer than a lot of resi, so we're just looking at how best to attack that. And then also product as well. So Charlie's very much focused on the residential policy side, but we're also now developing out for more so for the product side of lenders, offsets and interest rates and all that, those sorts of things as well. So there's a lot happening that's coming out hopefully later this year.
Right. You obviously not going to be getting much sleep in the next 5 years because there's a lot going on there. So
caffeine is my best friend, I think, at the moment.
yeah, okay. So do you think we'll ever see a collaboration between Cynario quickly and Broker Engine, and the broker does nothing, just sits on the beach in the Bahamas and just
wouldn't that be nice? I mean, look, I think that is definitely something that the industry should be looking at, and some of the Broker Innovation Summit was a classic case of that, where you've got a lot of tech providers and a lot of us are talking, and in terms of what parts of a workflow and what solutions are we providing, what problems are we solving, and instead of all of us continually reinventing the wheel, is actually starting to collaborate and go, right, well, how can we actually develop a full solution for a broker? I mean, from Cynario's perspective, we are completely API capable. We could API into any platform, aggregator platform, like tomorrow. But there are some conversations happening in terms of how, as I was talking about app fatigue before, in terms of rather than having all of these different platforms with solutions, it would be nice for a broker, I think, if a few of us started talking to come back with an actual joint solution across platforms.
That's exciting. Very exciting.
Never say never. So.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Michael, any brokers or anybody for that matter who wants to know more detail about Cynario capabilities and how it might help them, how do they get in contact with you?
Easy. So website's probably the easiest. So Cynario.ai. Also, if you'd like to get in contact, I'm always more than happy to run live demos and sort of talk through. So easiest way to get to me is through hello@Cynario.ai. On the platform, if brokers do want to trial it, we do offer 21-day free trial, risk-free, so no credit card down. I'd much prefer a broker to get on there, have a play for 21 days and really start to understand the platform. Make mistakes, learn from it. I think that's the important part of it. So we encourage brokers to do that.
Yeah. Okay. Excellent. Well, thank you very much. I think we'll wrap it up there, but that's actually been quite fascinating. Like I said, for my own personal, I wanted to get a bit of an understanding today about Cynario, having just dipped our toe in the water with it. I really appreciate you actually being able to join me today. I know you've been time poor.
We made it work. It's good.
It's fantastic. So thank you very much. All the best. I see there's some absolutely amazing things going to happen with you guys potentially. So I look forward to what's coming with interest.
No, we'll have to organise. Hopefully, in a couple of months, we'll do another podcast and we'll talk through some other exciting things.
Yeah. Well, like I said, the way you've been talking is that we might have to have one every couple of months just to keep updated.
Just to keep on top of it. It'll keep me on top of it, I think. So.
Okay. Thanks, Michael.
Thanks, Rob. Appreciate it.
Following on from our chat, Michael has made a special offer available to YBA listeners. He's provided me with a promotion code YBA25 that will entitle new subscribers to a 25% discount on the subscription fee for the first 3 months. Of course, you still have access to the 21-day free trial. This 25% discount is after that if you decide to continue using Cynario. So I would strongly recommend exploring Cynario. In this week's Hump Day Helper number 154, we're sharing some significant changes announced earlier this week by VMG. From the 6th of October 2025, VMG introduced 2 key updates to their loan offering. Firstly, near prime risk fee has now been reduced to just 0.25%, with significant reductions across other products. And also the big one is that they will no longer be charging clawbacks on new loans, which as a broker provides you with greater certainty and confidence when offering VMG. In this week's reviews wrap-up, I look at outcomes from loan reviews completed during the week ending the 3rd of October 2025. It was a reasonable start to the month, with another 6 reviews being successful in obtaining rate reductions. The total interest savings for the week amounted to $4,200. We also picked up another couple of opportunities for our brokers, totaling $900,000. Most of that interest savings amount came from a fixed rate expiry for an ING customer. The quoted revert rate on a $520,000 loan was 5.99%, which we got reduced down to 5.39% following our review request, saving the customer $3,200 in interest annually. The 2 new opportunities were from one client looking to sell their existing property to upgrade with an estimated additional borrowings of $200,000 required, whilst the other was an internal refinance of $700,000 following a poor review outcome with Macquarie. Overall, for the month of September, we managed to accumulate $30,000 in interest savings and generate $3 million in new lending opportunities. Just a quick reminder that if you'd like to provide a review on the podcast, then you can jump onto podchaser.com, search for Your Broker Admin and leave your review there, which would be greatly appreciated. You can also leave comments on any specific episode directly in Spotify. If you want to follow me personally, you can do so at linkedin.com. This is Rob Cummings with Your Broker Admin. Thank you for listening.